Hey, 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 Laura J. here 1 week from the day when we will be playing at Soul's Path together. January 26th until the 28th, we are going to be leveling the playing field in consciousness and conscience. We're actually going to remove the line through the S that turns it into a one-lined dollar sign instead of one backed by something of substance, such as what it was before there was a counterfeit version of reality overlaid on top of the true reality that we have been getting deceived by and trapped by, and then literally entrapped by because we didn't ask why things were the way they are. Socrates was said to be the founding father of Western philosophy because he was willing to teach his students to ask questions that challenged the thought leaders and literal leaders of their time. And because he dared to make the youth curious enough to ask questions about things that weren't lining up, he was a threat and needed to stop teaching his method. So, in order to make sure the top dog or top cat of a house is able to stay in charge of the ward they're in charge of, we have to better understand manorialism and the way that corporate realities have been misconstrued to be more real than the real lives we lead in order to step into the public thing, in order to perform those public duties that make us them who are doing these things that are causing us all harm to us, before then stepping back into our private capacity to be one of the ones that our public choices were causing harm to, which is insane. So, if you want to know how to actually break up with the public thing, then I want to bring a few things to your awareness. And that's what the leveling the playing field of consciousness and conscience is all about. So, if you can't make it for a whole weekend or make the investment to gain access to the course that I will actually provide a printout of that I've been working on over the last month plus, and is a culmination of efforts for the last year devoted to unbreaking or unpacking rather, the Justinian deception by Rowan Laurie and Romley Stewart, that then I turned into the Justinian connection, and then I turned into the real story of Rome as the reality of my empowerment, which is what we can all say when we know how to take up the pen of our own authority as the authors of lives that we get to write because we stop giving agents permission to speak for us and place us as wards within our own stories. It's insane, but if we don't know any better, we can't do better. And then once we do know better, if we don't do better, that's a conscious choice. But the Hegelian dialectic is very interesting because it's the construct of cue, response, reward. And then we have to see it in terms of the pattern, the program, and the paradigm. And then we have to really see about how thesis, antithesis, and synthesis are also said to be the three Hegelian dialectic stages of unfoldment of a cue response reward routine. So, with all of that, I hope it's been valuable. I'd love to know what this means to and for you. And I would also especially love to know if you are able to make it to the retreat, January 26th to the 28th. If you can't make it for the whole weekend, then make sure that you set your calendar to come out for the January 26th, 7 to 9 networking opportunity where we are going to be looking at the major arcana cards within the tarot in relation to the hero's development and Hyro's prism, which is the construct that I have created as a way to say the public thing is the prism. It's Hyro's prism. a victimhood where we have to have a victim, rescuer, and punisher in order to move around and navigate this prism. And we will do it with others, and we will also do it to ourselves because we play all of these roles as that is how the other roles exist. So if we step out of that and actually take back our conscience from the con of science with a dollar sign through the S to make it just a fiat issued by those who are in on the same manorial system of leadership, top down, that wears a crown in order to make sure our own corona doesn't come down or out, or whatever it is that makes the crown activated to say, I will clear the way of all that which does not need to exist within the vessel, that transmutes that which comes to and then through it, if we are willing to actually express it. And that's what we do when we get out of our heads and into our hearts. So then we can start just moving without thinking about any of it, because we know and trust ourselves to have the words that come next, because we're in such a flow that we can be the it that knew it or didn't. So I have been told today, in fact, that I am a poetic maniac, because the mania of mythicism is actually translated in my way as poetic mythicism or mania. So I just love it, and it's just so exciting and delighting to me that I just ride the waves of excitement and delight, because it's so exciting to not fight the light, but to actually enhance it by sharing it with others, which is what I do my best to do. So, if you want to be in on the magic of the real realm of power that we have access to as who and whose we all came from and return to, without putting the source of all into a box, that, y'all, is what we're going to focus on as we deconstruct all of the identities that have brought entities into our auric field without our knowing it, because we didn't notice it. And once we do, then we can put the man or woman acting in a public position on notice in their private capacity that they're causing us harm, if their public position is not being conscionable, for in their private capacity they know that they are going along with the devil in the details, because they're signing away someone's rights they never knew to claim, because that's what the name does when it's registered. And yet, when we actually get to the point of being able to deconstruct it to the level of saying that a status converts us into the public thing, but as soon as we dare to remain in our private capacity with all private common law reserves, with all private common law rights reserved at all times, without interference from any man or woman, even when acting in the public, claiming jurisdiction over a domain I may be passing through, even then, if they do interfere with my right to travel freely without being interfered with, then they're liable in their private capacity for interfering with me when I'm in mine, even if we happen to meet in public. You see what I'm saying? That's how we actually make it real. So instead of the man who had to kneel to a corporation in order to get the suit or the status or the title in order to step into the public position to fulfill those orders that cause us all harm, we just remove that liability protection that gives us the ability to lie within the legal fiction that has no more validity in its diction than any other de facto government that governs the mind, because the monarch slave trauma based program is up and fine working order. And now is time for us to stop wounding out in Hyro's prism and instead get back to hourglass, which is why we're always asked whether it's half full or half empty. And our answer says a lot. about how we look at our lot in life. So, wouldn't it be nice to better understand the patterns, the programs, and the paradigms behind all of the insanity that we've been watching unwind with identities? Yeah, breathe all of it in. Leave a comment down below. Give this video a like and share it with a friend who might want to either come for this pilot session or who would actually like to connect and go deeper, even if you can't get to the retreat. I am very much keen to share this wisdom of the wizard's domain with those who wish to claim the right to remain in our private capacity in a first person position within our story, which means we claim the right to tell our own story and say no agent in a second person position is able to tell my story better than me, because I believe in my ability to tell a story, and I believe in yours too. I believe we all need practice to do it, and I've had over 1,100 videos just on one platform, YouTube alone. So believe me, if you go back to earlier videos that have been getting posted since 2015, even though I got certified in 2011 and started back then, so I've been at it for a long time, my friend. If I seem polished, it's because I've put in the 10,000 hours that turn someone from an expert to a master. We need to see the X that marks the spot of where we stopped and the public started by consuming us through a status, title, or personage. And once we do all of that, we will see that we are the ones that have enabled the public thing to incorporate us only because we didn't trust ourselves enough to stay in our private capacity. And now that we know, we can do better, yo. So let's do it. How about that then? Leave a comment. For a day, namaste, namago, for today, yeah.